Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
And you're on.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to the 12th instalment of the AOR Hype Season 18 PC F1 League. We are here on the outskirts of Budapest, here in Hungary, at the Hungaroring for, of course, the Hungarian Grand Prix, one of the next instalments of the Eastern European season. And what a race we've just witnessed in real life. If we can get half the race here tonight, then that should be absolutely stunning. Obviously, we do have a 14-man grid for today's race at a 14-corner circuit, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, with 2 DRS zones down the main start-finish straight, and obviously down towards turn 2, where we did see 2 veterans of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton dueling it out in the real-life race here in 2019. If we get anything similar to that, then we should be set for a cracker of a race. Joining me once again in the commentary box, hopefully the issues of last week have been left in the dust and we can get on with a clean, mistake-free race, commentators and driver-wise. Jens, good evening to you, my friend.
Good evening, and yes, of course, we are hoping that the issues from last week was just a one-time thing. I've tried tuning some settings and it should be fine.
Good stuff, and well, yeah, really good considering this this race anticipates to be quite interesting. Hungary obviously is known as Monaco without the barriers. We do suspect that it's so difficult to overtake it, but these drivers can really pull anything out of their rubber hat, and I think, you know, we've seen it in real life. I think the racing here was much better in 2019 compared to in previous years, and if that translates into the video game, then we should be seeing a really good race.
Yes, indeed, we should, and let's just jump straight into qualifying to see how the drivers are doing. If my game, of course, wants to be picked up by my OBS. Thanks.
I haven't got any game audio.
Oh, that's not good. And OBS is playing games, as always. Playing more games than usual. Oh, found the issue. Now it should be working. I'm sorry for that short interruption. There we go. Now it should be fine. And as you can see, Hyper's setting the first time of this session with a 1:16.2 on the hard tyres, I believe. Yes, the hard tyres fitted.
Alright then, Hyper's obviously, well, did participate in qualifying, but we did think in last race that he disconnected. Sources said that he left by himself on his own. Unsure as to the exact reason why, but it was a shame that he couldn't participate in the race. Maybe he had some other issues. He had to stop doing it, obviously, but he's back in Hungary. We hope to make amends of a disappointing evening last Sunday, especially considering he was second in the Drivers' Championship, but he's been overhauled by former Danny, who is on a good bounce of 2 wins in a row. And obviously Jarno Otmir, who is currently leading the championship, a long way ahead of the Alfa Romeo. He's had a stunning first part of the season. We head into the second part of the season. We are theoretically, we are round 12 of 21, so we are after the halfway stage of the season. if Jarno can do anything that he did in the first half, then the championship will be only a few more rounds away at the moment. He's done such a good job, but in the qualifying, it looks like Hyper's obviously in provision pole at the moment. Martin G goes second behind him. Everyone opting for the hards or the mediums. No sets of. I actually think everyone is on the hards at the moment. No set of softs or mediums to be seen.
Yes, that is very interesting, seeing that all the drivers usually go for a softer compound, choosing between the softs or mediums, but interesting that all the drivers are opting for the hard tyres, showing that this track could be one that is killing the tyres quite easily.
Yeah, we should be seeing a one-stop strategy, mediums to hards. You got to one, that's why the drivers are opting for the hards. The softs, again, don't last a lot. The tyre deg is just unbelievable here, and especially being in traffic means the tyres are used up so much, and it's quite hot. Obviously, the game doesn't really show it, but it is sunny, which means the hotter temperatures and the tyres obviously will not perform at above optimal temperature, which is probably what the softs will put them into. As Flying Finn actually finishes his flying lap, but he got his lap invalidated in the other Williams. Will look to go again after his first banker attempt. Hyper's again opting for the mediums as he's in the pits at the moment. But yeah, still many drivers just out there setting their banker laps. One of them being TRL Presnider. Obviously, unfortunately, did not have a success race whatsoever last time around. Got caught up and got some wing damage, and it got involved in an incident, and that was pretty much the end of his race. He dives into the pits behind the McLaren of Anker.
Yes, and looking further down the grid, we're currently having Photon coming through the final right-hand of that sweeping 180 corner of turn 16 across the line, puts us in second place. But still, Hypers with quite a nice gap at the top. Of course, put his time in on the hard tyres, not as it's showing with the fitted currently. So really showing that he has some pace compared to the other guys. Currently with a gap of just over 4.5 tenths.
Yeah, and in the chat, Cast, I'm not sure if that's how I pronounce it, it said that he can do a 15-1 on mediums. So obviously that's what he's opting to do next. That would be a seriously competitive lap time, and it takes something to beat that. It takes something to beat this 116.2 on the hard, mind you. Lamont has crossed the line, done a 127, so obviously he's had a mistake on his first flying lap. Martin G has unfortunately left us in this session. He's having a few connection problems. Jarno Opmeer goes into second position, just under 5 tenths behind Hypers though. And if someone of his caliber can get nowhere near, then who can get close? Obviously the hard tyres will not be the ones that will end this qualifying session on, so at least Jarno has that lifeline that this isn't much of a danger that Hypers is that far ahead of him at the moment, but you know, it is a bit of a warning sign. Hypers looks seriously competitive as we approach the 10-minute mark.
Yes, and here Formula Danny looking to challenge, but is not able to do so. He's just about 5 tenths away. So really some top guys trying to challenge that 116.2, but isn't able to. Really showing how impressive that lap time actually is.
I'm on board with Matthias, who missed the last race, I do believe, in the Mercedes. He's coming through the snaky section, the sector 2, on towards, just out of turn 11. That was a bit of a wide moment there for the Mercedes. He comes into the final 3 corners, into the penultimate swooping U-turn left-hander, where it's so tricky to just manage the throttle implication. And now round the final corner, you just want to get the power so early, but the car sometimes does not let you do that. Round the final corner, up towards the line, he improves from 120 to a 117.2, but stays 7th. As he actually drops down to 8th, because I think that was Michael goes up into 2nd ahead of Jarno, only 2,000 separating them. Still 4 and a bit tenths behind Hypers though, so that must have been a mega lap from the young Pole.
Yes, and currently looking down in 10th place at Simon Weigang, put in a lap time of a 1:28 as you said earlier, so I had a mistake on that. Currently up on his time, trying to of course improve that, as well as Le Mans also really down on the pace, but it'll be interesting to see what Simon can do in the other Renault. He's of course the teammate to Jarno Opmeer. Now he pulls into the pits, but just in front of him was Le Mans coming up to the line, putting in a 1:19, but I think it got invalidated.
Must have done. There's some yellow flags in sector 3. They've been now cleared up. 4 drivers still without times. Obviously, I did mention Flying Finn did get his first lap invalidated. He's now going again, and it looks a much cleaner lap time as he comes through turn 11. If you see them going a bit wide, it's a bit natural for them to go a little bit wide over the curb, over the crest there. It's a bit of a blind corner there through turn 11. Now through turn 13. Obviously, it'd be a mega lap, a miracle to get anywhere near his teammate. He actually dives into the pit, so doesn't feel that comfortable on these set of hards compared to his teammates. But yeah, still without a time. The drivers opt for a banker lap just to get into their groove and then push a bit more, knowing there's a little less on the line come the final lap, knowing that they have a backup lap to back up on. But obviously, Flying Finn isn't getting into that groove. Hadler is on his flying lap. Steve is just about to finish. No, he's just about to start his flying lap down in 14th. Hypers has now come out on the mediums and is going. He is on his flying lap. Let's see how he can progress, as most of the drivers are now opting for the mediums as we approach the final third of this qualifying. Look how much effort he's going through turn 4. Here's an Alfa Romeo, I think, of former Danny, who should get out of his way pronto, and he does so as he heads into the hairpin of turn 6 and turn 7. Full commitment, third gear now through turn 8, then turn 9, fifth gear he's opting for. Runs a little bit wide, a bit of oversteer, a bit of overcorrection there. That must have cost him a few tenths, but he's still powering on through these final few corners in towards turn 12 and slams the DRS down. Well, no, there's no DRS there, slams the brake down in towards the final 2 corners. Laps look a little bit off, but overall really, really quick from the Williams, and Rama finally comes now. How much is he going to improve by? A 16.2 turns into a 15.5. And in the chat, if he said he can do a 15.1, I think that's definitely possible. I can see at least a half a second that he can make up if he wants to try again on these mediums, therefore.
Yes, and of course, looking down at the other guys behind him, we are seeing people coming out on those medium tires. Jarno Opmeer currently in the pits, having them chosen, but Anker just starting his flying lap on the medium tires, currently 1.6 seconds after the guy on provisional pole position after he set his new time on those fresh medium tires. Anker also looking to push here and get some ground in the championship after he was of course moved up from F2 and started with 0 points after round 10, I believe it was. Now coming through that turn 11, 12, 13 section, interesting, he opted for 4th gear through there whilst Hyper chose 5th gear, really showing that some drivers like a bit more revs through there and maybe challenging a bit with some wheel spin. Now coming through those final snaky corners, those 2 approximately 180 corners, coming out, opening the DRS full throttle down to the line. He improves, but I think it got invalidated.
Not ideal at all for Anker. A 16.1, I think, which would have been good enough for second place at the moment, which is currently held by Jarno, who has about 7 tenths to make up. He is now on his medium set, so he actually did improve in his hard set. He did set that 16.2 on the hard, so he got close to Hypers, but not close enough. But it's a different game when it comes to these mediums. I think that 15.5 could be beaten by Jarno. We've seen it time and time again. He's got a few poles already this season. I'm pretty sure if I go on to the standings, yeah, he's only actually got one. Formula Danny's actually got 4 to his name. He's in the running for pole position, as is Michael. Don't discount the Red Bull either. He had a superb debut to this league after returning. Well, actually, I don't think he's ever been on PC before, but he's joined from the PS4 as Jarno did earlier this season. But Jarno has now started what could be his final flying lap. I think he might have fuel in for 2 runs if he backs out of this first flying run. But through the first sector, well, this is the first indication of how quick he is up. He's up by just under 0.2 of a second. And if he does that for the 3 sectors, that'll be 0.6, and that'll be good enough to just about overthrow Hypers. But in towards these corners where he has to absolutely nail them, full commitment through the hairpin there into the sweeping left, then right of 8 and 9. Full power there, and now a bit flat out. This corner is flat out, no real commitment needed there. Now this is the big corner, turn 11. Balls of steel for Jarno as he comes down towards turn 12, braking, and now through turn 13, clipping the inside. Don't run too wide onto the curb there, and now prepare yourself for the dash to the line. Get on the gas as early as possible. Flying Finn now goes second fastest, but Jarno goes fast, 1:15.4, and his teammate Simon has done enough to go third. With 2 minutes remaining in the session, it's Renault Williams. Former Danny has also done his lap, but did not improve. But yeah, Jarno on provisional pole at the moment. Hypers has a lot to do, especially with a used set of tyres. Is it going to happen for him?
I don't know, but look at that. It is so close at the top. Only 0.082 seconds is splitting number 1 from number 3, really showing what you can do on those medium tires.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what Hypers is coming through the final 2 corners. He's just got about enough time to set. I think that's Former Danny actually, who's right behind him, who's also going to start his flying lap. So these are the last 2 real competitors. Jarno, I think Jarno's got enough ERS, interestingly, for another go, as has Simon. So I was right. They have got enough fuel for 2 attempts. Michael won't go again. He's going to start no higher than 4th place. But it's between the top 3 and possibly Former Danny as well, and Flying Finn. So I think it's a 5-way battle for pole position here in Hungary. Jarno obviously has the advantage of being on provisional pole at the moment, so if all else fails, as Hypers, oh my word, full commitment there. Honestly, like a little bit of oversteer there. He has to correct it, otherwise he was going into the wall. But he did that to absolute perfection there. Michael gets out of the Williams way as he comes through the 2nd sector, where he was a little bit up on his time in the 1st sector, but obviously the 2nd sector where he didn't really nail on the 1st attempt. He is a 1/10.5 up, which will mean which will be good enough for pole position, but he has to get these final 2 corners absolutely spot on. If he does this, pole position will be his. 1 more corner to go for the Williams as he rounds it, and will be able to see the checkered flag, DRS wide open as he comes up towards the line, and it is good enough for pole position at the moment, but there are still challenges from elsewhere as Former Danny has done enough to go 2nd fastest ahead as Jarno's backed off. Jarno's made a mistake somewhere in the middle sector. He can't do anything about that. What can his teammate do? As Simon makes his way around the final 2 corners, he's not got a lot of ERS left in the bank, so it's going to need something to overthrow Hypers. Maybe Former Danny could be possible. Up towards the line comes Simon. Not good enough, unfortunately. So Renault fell at the final hurdle. Hypers making it a 1-2 for Veloce. I was actually crashing into the Mercedes there, ironically. But he gets his pole position, and what a lap. Redemption after disappointing qualifying in Germany last time out. It's an absolute ecstatic. He'll be absolutely buzzing in that cockpit, getting a pole position at a circuit where overtaking is difficult.
Yes, indeed, and that's Mr. Anker now crossing the line as the final driver Interestingly, doing it on the soft tyres, and he starts in the top 6 or the top 10 in 6th place there, which means that he'll have to start on those soft tyres. Very interesting to see, as I hope the driver standings will come up there and not kick me. As we see Hype, as well done from him to get it on pole position. Formula Danny rounds off that front row. Then Jano Opmir, Simon Weigang in 4th, Preshnator 5th, Mr. Anker in 6th on those soft tyres. Then Michael in 7th, Photon 8th, Flying Finn 9th, Matthias in 10th, Le Mans in 11th, Martin G and Hadler in 13th, and then Stiv in 14th, with no time set in this qualifying session.
Big gamble from Anker to opt for the softs, which I'm assuming it will be a dry race, as most, well, all but the Finn has opted for the mediums to start their race. But obviously the guys outside the top 10 will have the free choice of tyre wear. I'm assuming a few might opt for the hards. Steve possibly, obviously without a time, so I wonder what happened to him in his qualifying session. I don't think he did have a qualifying ban, as he was out trying to set a lap time but couldn't for whatever reason. But I was waiting for all the drivers to get ready for their formation lap, for ahead of a 35 lap race where anything is possible. Hypers has never been on pole, but I don't think he's ever been on pole. Not certainly in the PCF1 league. So this is new territory for him. Former Danny, obviously experienced as he is, obviously did win the last race. Can I do it again? If he does, oh, unfortunately you've left the session.
That's weird because I'm still in this. No, there we go. I got disconnected there. Well, let's try and rejoin before the formation lap is over. Please.
Well, good thing this circuit isn't as short as Brazil or Austria or even Monaco at this rate. Yeah, the Hyper's coming through turn 5 and 6 now.
And my game is stuck on loading screen. Oh no, there we go. I think I'll be able to join back in. Or else we're gonna have to do what we did last week.
It'll be tight. No, you'll be able to rejoin certainly, but whether you'll rejoin for the race start.
Well, I don't know if I can, because every time I get kicked and try and rejoin, that's the issue. That's where the biggest issue is. But there we go. I'm using your backup invite.
Oh, it's gonna be so tight. Ivor's coming to the penultimate corner now, but whilst Jens is trying to sort his issues out, yeah, everyone outside the top 10 opting for the hards except for Steve. So I said, oh, maybe Steve might try for the hards. Nope, he's opting for the mediums. Lamont, Martin G and Hadler are on the hards, and of course everyone else is on the mediums. You've unfortunately left us again.
Oh, right, that means we'll have to do the same as last week.
How come?
You
don't have a spare invite?
Not anymore. I only had that one you sent me.
Alright then, so the race start will be well, the race is about to begin, but obviously with no action on the main screen, unfortunately you won't be able to see this. I'll try and just give a bit of a radio brief. It's actually Former Danny's actually got the jump on Hypers down towards turn 1. Hypers actually will try and go around the outside, and Hypers actually will fight it, but to no avail. Actually, Former Danny will take over the lead. Let me try and... Are we saying share play? Oh, not share play. Screen share.
We can certainly try.
Alright. There we go. Let me know when
yeah.
you've got it on the... Again, apologies everyone, but at least this is sorted early in the race, so you know we've got a lot of time to fix it.
Yeah. It should be fixed now. If I just switch it over, yeah, it is fixed now.
Okay, good stuff. Oh, in fact, Hyper's actually has retaken the lead. After former Danny tried and succeeded. But as we end lap 1, everyone has had a pretty clean start. Everyone's on the main straight. Hypers leads Danny, leads Yana. So look at the position changes. I don't think there's been many. Photon has actually passed Michael. Michael's actually not had a good start. Started down in 7th. So we have a huge, huge train. Or he gets very close to the rear end of Photon in the Toro Rosso there. Isn't used to being this far down the order in PS4 or in PC. He's used to being fighting in the top 3. You look at, oh, he's trying for a move down the inside of Photon. It's very early in the race, Michael. I reckon you just stay back, and obviously Hungary being the nature of it being so difficult to overtake. The best opportunities are obviously down into turn 1 and into turn 2. Once again, apologies, this frame rate on the stream isn't the best. At least we have got a stream, but yeah. Lap 2 of 35. Hypers still continuing to lead. Hadler dropping back on the hard compound tyres. Steve has actually made up 1 place on the medium set. He's actually all over the back of his teammate. Well, let's go back to the front where we see the whole field on the start finish straight. When do we see that? Oh, that's Presnide actually going for a move on Simon down towards turn 1. The Renault gives him the inside line, gives him the space, and gives him the position. Can Simon actually fight back? It needs a bit more of a car length in it. There's a side by side they go. That's not the best camera angle to see that. President with the inside line for turn 3. He gets the move done. The Renault concedes, otherwise that could have been a bit of an incident there. But President made the really good move, and the Mercedes is up into 4th place. Good move there, as Michael has re-overtaken Photon in the battle for 7th place, which doesn't surprise me considering he was all over the Toro Rosso's tail last lap, and he's finally got his man. As we come down towards the final stages of lap 3, Hyper's trying to get out of the DRS zone. The 1 second buffer, but Fumdali is just about doing enough to stay in that region. Yana is also doing enough. Flap is he's just gone outside of it. So he won't get DRS, which could put him under pressure from Simon. Let's see. Simon opens the rear wing of his Renault. Obviously, there's no rear wing opening in the Mercedes. This could be a change of position once again. Simon dives it down the inside. What a late move there. Like Carlos Sainz did in the real life race. Can Philip fight back? He'll do everything he can in his power. But no. He just doesn't have the traction. He doesn't have the straight line speed to contend without that DRS buffer. And Simon is up into 4th place. There's an incident at the back, I think. What's happened to Steve? Oh, he's had an incident. He's fallen right behind. I think he must have made contact with someone trying to overtake. And he's dropped down to the back of the field. Apologies for everyone. There's no car audio because we are unfortunately experiencing the exact same issue we had last week where unfortunately Jens could not join the session in time for the race and having to use SharePlay. So that is why the stream is a little bit buffery, and also why there is no engine, or if there is any engine audio, it's quite... Actually, I could actually do something about that. Can you hear the audio, Jens? Is it quite low? Because I could maybe do something about that.
There's a bit of engine audio. It's a bit quiet.
Try and turn the game up a little bit. I'm not sure. It might be something to do with Discord actually, but you can see there's a lot of movement. That's Michael actually diving down the inside. Can he send obviously Anchor still on the softs, doing a decent job holding position, but he could be challenged. It's under threat obviously. Michael dives down the inside of the McLaren, but can't make the move stick. The softs are still holding on. I thought they would have gone by now, but Anchor's obviously proving his worth in this split and doing a really good job at managing those tyres, but will have to come in the pits. Look how much time he's losing to the guys ahead, though. Michael must be furious now that this cockpit. Whilst looking at this, let me try and see if I can sort anything out with actually, there's a volume option here. I think this might do something. Apologies if this hurts your ears, gents. Has that changed the audio one bit?
It has definitely changed
Right.
the audio. It is now up at a good level, I believe.
Alright, apologies for that. Hopefully you can hear more of the audio and less of my Pescu's voice. But yeah, we could just look how Anchor. I said Anchor's tyres are holding on. Not really. Look at the train he's forming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars, maybe 6 cars if you include Le Mans. As there goes Michael, already ahead of Anchor, and it could be 3 wide possibly. There goes Flying Finn, tucking him behind the Red Bull, but he's going side by side with Anchor, who squirmed his way out of turn 1 and could do nothing to prevent the Williams going past, and the Toro Rosso as well. As he goes round the outside, goes Photon through turn 2, over the inside line through turn 3. Anchor is now a sitting duck, unfortunately, and it's a matter of time for when he's going to be victim to the next driver, which will be Mateus just behind him. But yeah, Anchor loses 3 positions in, well, 3 corners really. The softs aren't lasting anymore, and he probably should pit before it's too late, really. Yeah, back at the front, you can see Jarno is actually clinging on to this train. Again, it's these 3, but instead of Michael, it was Hyper's now replacing the Greek god. Hyper's obviously not getting more experience, but obviously still being at a young age. You know, he has to contend with being in these situations if he wants to succeed. Obviously, he's 2 years away, just under that, from being able to be eligible for F1 esports, obviously, which is what he really wants to be involved in, but obviously his age limit obviously is preventing that. But if he wants to be competing with the best, he has to be in it to win it, really. And he's doing a really good job at managing this race and keeping Formula Danny and Jan Otmir, no less, at bay. They just can't. I mean, it doesn't help for these guys. Hungary is such a difficult track to overtake on. But Formula Danny can't get near him. He's within 7, 8 tenths, but nothing more than that. Hyper's doing a really good job as they approach halfway through their first real stint. I think the pit window, I would imagine, would open at around 15 laps. Jens, are you inclined to agree that's when the mediums will probably drop off?
Yes, I think about lap 15 that would be that point, as it is quite a heavy track on the tyre wear, but the mediums should be able to hold up.
And obviously, for the likes of Martin, let me get the tyres up. There we go. For the likes of Le Mans, Hadl, and Martin do their goal really in this first stint. As there's more yellow flags. Is that for Anchor? No, it's not. Who has had? Is it Steve again? I would imagine so. There's no other real. No, there's more yellow flags. Maybe for some debris or something. Oh no, Steve is out. So I think Steve has been involved in another incident, and that has put the nail in the coffin for his evening, and he is out. As starting last, he finishes first in last. If that makes any sense, apologies. But yeah, he's out of the race, and we're down to 13 runners. But yeah, Anchor obviously out of sync from a lot of people, as he's obviously doing a much different strategy. I don't think the Hearts can get to the end though, so he'll be having to pit one more time again. So yeah, strange strategy decision from Anchor, but worth a gamble. Nothing really to lose. Obviously, I doubt he really cares much about the standings. He would have been involved in the championship fight in F2, but obviously due to the lack of attendees in Tier 1, he had to be moved up. But I think he suits better in this tier. He has a much better chance of competing with drivers of similar caliber. But yeah, as Flying Finn actually sets the fastest lap of the race, he is only within 5 tenths of Michael, who's pulled away a little bit, and but yeah, he's kind of claw back to Tyrrell Presnider in 5th place. He's actually got Simon. He's actually been re-overtaken by Simon. I've just noticed, or was he? Has he always been behind? I can't remember actually. I think no. I think he was ahead of Simon, but Simon must have re-overtaken him. His teammate actually Matthias has picked up a 3-second time penalty, probably at turn 4. That's the most likely source. But as you go on board with the Mercedes through these corners, you can just see how difficult it is to follow. Even the criticism this game gets possibly for not having dirty air as efficient as it is in real life. Obviously, it's much more difficult to follow in real life compared to the game. Maybe the Codemasters programmed it so, well, if we had races like we did in real life most of the time, it wouldn't be that entertaining to drive, having such dirty air. But here comes Philip with DRS open down towards turn 1. You can see, this straight needs to be a few hundred meters longer for the Mercedes to try and get past as he gets a little bit of oversteer there. Has to correct that out of turn 1. The tyres seeming to fade a little bit there as they come towards the end of their life. But he's still clinging onto that DRS, which is pulling him and Simon along as they try and make up a bit of ground in the top 3, but it's quite unlikely the 3 are in a league of their own, it seems, as they start to pull away lap after lap after lap. Lap 10 of 35, Hypers is still leading from this man, Formula Danny, from the Renault of Jarno Otmir. Then Simon from Presnider, from Michael, he's got Flying Finn and Photon behind, Matthias in 9th, Lemon in 10th, Hadler in 11th, Martin G in 12th, and obviously Anker down in 13th, making that interesting strategy call, start on the softs, and now is down in 13th after the only driver making their pit stop so far. See if we have lost in this race. Hopefully we'll have no other losses. Lap 11 now, and yeah, you can just see how difficult it is to close. There's not enough straights for Fulminani to use the benefit of DRS to close in, because the corners just outweigh the straights here, and it's just so difficult to close, just making it life so difficult for Fulminani and Jarno respectively. But it doesn't mean Hypers can sit back a little bit. He has been put under the most extreme amount of pressure. He goes a bit wide there. I'm actually interested to know the warnings. How Hypers has got 1, Fulminani has also got 1, and Jarno is clean so far. So, you know, it's happened time and time again. Penalties have decided a large amount of results in this league, because these drivers, gents, are so competitive. These drivers are so close in pace, but if Hypers gets a penalty, he'll be sent down to 3rd at this moment in time, but it will be so costly. But how much pressure is Hypers on at this moment, and how well is he dealing with it?
I mean, yeah, when the field is this close, it is so incredibly hard to, first of all, pull away, and then if you get a penalty, to then having to pull even further away. So you get under that extreme pressure, but I think Hypers can deal with it well enough. He's experienced, and I'm sure he knows what to do.
Well, he said if he wants to be successful in F1 esports, he has to deal with these certain scenarios first, because these will be the certain scenarios he will be experiencing, hopefully, for himself in 2 years' time. If he can get this experience on his belt 2 years before he steps up big time, who knows what can happen in 2 years. But hopefully, the guys like Fulminani and Jarno will be around for a lot longer as well, because these two are a delight to watch, not just in AOR, but also in F1 esports. But yeah, lap 12 commences, and Hypers is still doing a really good job keeping that gap to 6/10 of a second, which is also the same gap back to Jarno in 3rd position. Simon's actually got a bit of a train for him. Michael has actually got himself within a second of the Mercedes. Oh, that's Jarno pitting, and Hypers as well. They're going quite early, pulling the trigger really early. Lap 12? Okay, I thought lap 15 would have been the optimal point, but no. Hypers making the decision early, does not want to be undercutted by Formula Danny, does not think that it's worth making the risk of staying out, especially considering Jarno is also pitted at the same time. On goes the hard compound tyres. He will rejoin in 10th place, as also the Mercedes of Presnider has also responded. So Hype is out in 10th, 5 seconds to Martin G. So is this Formula Danny? Is this hammer time for Formula Danny? What can we call it? Danny time? I don't know. That's probably too cringy. But yeah, this is the possible in lap for Formula Danny. If you can nail this, again, it's very unlikely that it can overtake Hypers, but these hard tyres take a lot to rubber in and to get into the green territory where they work at their best range. So maybe it's a stretch, but maybe Fulmandani could make the overcut work. Let's see if he actually responds to the Williams and possibly the Renault as well, because he might lose out to Jarno if he's not careful, excuse me, and he does actually respond. As he comes into the pit, stops at his marks. Oh no! He sped! Oh, Danny. Oh, I think is that a jinx? I don't know if that forward with Danny. What a shame. That's ruined his race. I mean, obviously he'll have a chance to make that up on track, but with that 5 second stop go, I think that's pretty much put an end to any chance of him winning. As there goes that Hypers through, and Jarno, they're going to be side by side through turn 1. Jarno with the more harder tyres up to more optimal temperature. Formula Danny with the fresh tyres, obviously. Luckily for him, Jarno did not have any DRS to use, and he stays behind the Alfa Romeo, but what a shame for Formula Danny. That 5 second stop go has pretty much put an end to his hopes of winning, you would think, Jens, because I mean, it needs two 3 second penalties from either Hypers, well from Hypers to reduce that deficit.
Yes, indeed, and as I was saying earlier, you are under this extreme pressure, and it was just showing. Oh, Danny just getting a big tank slapper there, almost crashing out, doing well to keep it under control. But as I was saying, with these penalties, yeah, I think that has screwed his chances of winning this race. I'm not too sure that he will be able to get past Hypers and then pull out a 5 second gap.
I gotta say that was an impressive stop run from Formula Danny there to manage to keep that car out of the barriers, because that could have took Jarno with him. But yeah, he managed to keep the car under control somehow. But he is known as the Drift King, you know. It's obviously his home race. I don't know how I've gone 15 laps without mentioning that. It is Danny's home race, so he'd be looking to make things right, and obviously by speeding, that's really put a dent to his chances. But I'm sure he'd be fighting until the checkered flag falls. And who knows? Maybe if he gets past Hypers and maybe pulls away 5 seconds, it's a bit of a stretch considering there's been no signs that Hypers is gonna fade, really. There's been no signs that Hyper's going to crack under this pressure. He's doing so well to manage just being ahead of these two absolute beasts of drivers. But still, I don't think Danny has been outside of DRS range for the entire first 15 laps of this race. And he's got DRS once again, as he now goes a bit quicker than the Williams, so he clawed that advantage a little bit there, as they actually have Martin G ahead of them in the racing point, I should say. So a little bit of traffic to contend with. Maybe they'll come in pits, hopefully, for Hyper's sake. These the top three will pit before they catch up to them. But I do think the way that Hypers is gaining on the racing point, I think have to contend with at least one lap of trying to get past at least Martin G. I don't think the top two, Le Mans and Hadler, will be any trouble. But yeah, Hyper's not in the best situation with these 3 cars ahead of him. He needs to, if he wants to keep people behind, he has to overtake these top drivers as well to prove that he deserves to be a Veloce driver. Really, Veloce only signed the best, and Hyper's obviously without a win in PCF1, despite joining last season in season 17. He's come close on so many occasions. I remember back to Germany in season 17 when he had a race-long battle really with Fabrizio Donoso and just lost out on the last lap to the Chilean. But he's got a different contender of the Hungarian Formula Danny to do with equally as competitive. Unfortunately, Fabrizio is not here with us tonight, which is a bit of a shame. Still got a decent amount of turnout to this race, considering the lack of attendees in the past few races. But as we did, we've just glossed over the fact that Martin G has pitted. So that must give Hypers a bit of breathing room. He's got 2.2 seconds now between himself and the next car. I think he might be safe. He might get a bit of effect from the dirty air from the 2 drivers ahead. But overall, I think he's done it. I think he won't have to contend with a bit of traffic. Hopefully for his sake, obviously. But Danny just seems to be just always there, and obviously if Hypers makes one small mistake, you bet your bottom dollar that Thumb Danny will be... Oh, there goes Jarno off the track, and he gets a 3-second penalty for doing that. Now then, that puts the cat amongst the pigeons. That's a penalty for him as well. Penalty for Thumb Danny. And for Jarno, Hyper's still without a penalty. All things are coming good as look, the top 2 have pitted as well. All things are looking really good for Hypers. Is this his time to shine then? It can... Obviously he looks certain to keep these 2 behind for the time being, but in theory, he's 3 seconds ahead of Jarno and 5 seconds ahead of Fulmer Danny. Does he... Will he know about these penalties? Or probably he might know about Danny's, but possibly not Jarno's. But he's in a really good situation to make things count, really, is Hypers. As that, oh, Danny, that's exceedingly wide through turn 5 there, mate. That's lost you a little bit of time. The top 3, can I just mention how consistent they've been? The whole race, they're within a second of each other. That's actually what's happened here then. Has Matthias had an incident? Obviously, unfortunately, we don't have 2 screens to for Jens to confirm this, but I think he's obviously lost a lot of time. So we'll assume yes, he has had an incident. Yeah, not had the best race. Has the other pole in the field, but yeah, so far halfway through this race, Jens, it's looking all good for Hypers.
Yes, indeed, it really is, and now he just needs to keep himself penalty-less, but that is easier said than done, as we saw with Jarno and Formula Danny. It is so easy to just go a bit too wide or cut a corner a bit too much when you have 2 drivers staring down your neck, pushing you to your hardest.
And speaking of pushing to the hardest, Le Mans has Matthias out of the race. That's unfortunate for him. I think he was involved in an incident and obviously wasn't happy. Oh, is that Anker gone? Oh, he is. Oh, Anker got on the curb at turn 2, and he just lost it and lost places as a result. I think those hard tyres are a bit kaput now, and yeah, that strategy to start on the soft, I think I'll be regretting that now. As one McLaren in real life has his sights set on a podium, and this McLaren in AOR F1 hasn't had a day to remember whatsoever. But he might go again. I think he might try for fastest lap possibly. But that mistake can come to anyone. A little bit too much power on the exit of turn 2 and round your car where he managed to, well, he didn't spin, but lost a huge amount of time. And yeah, lost his race because of it. Oh, there's a might move for 4th position. Simon has overtaken the Mercedes of Presnay. There's a three-way scrap. Here comes Michael down the inside of the Mercedes. We've seen the Mercedes and Red Bull going wheel to wheel in real life and also in AOR. Mike, this time it's the Red Bull attacking the Mercedes rather than the Mercedes attacking the Red Bull. We've got a Renault ahead of them. Got a three-way scrap for 4th. But unlike the top 3, these 3 are actually like battling it out rather than the top 3 are just playing the patient waiting game. It seems these 3 are really going for it. And yeah, Simon initiated that move, telegraphed it obviously, and down the inside at turn 1 he went, and the Mercedes unfortunately couldn't really do anything to put up with that. But he managed, well, Philip managed to prevent the Red Bull also getting past. But yeah, the Red Bull looks really quick. Michael getting into his rhythm now on the PC platform, a little bit different to the PS4. Possible better frame rates, better performance possibly. And here he goes. He sets his sights on the Mercedes, who does have DRS. It'll be a long lunge, dive down the inside at turn 1. But that DRS benefit for Philip is really keeping him at bay. And the Red Bull under braking tries to get as close as possible. I think Photon is getting involved. He's Jet and Flying Finn. So this could be a 5-way. Well, it is going to be a 5-way train for P4 at the moment. The Red Bull. Oh, Simon, penalty. That is not going to help his causes whatsoever. But yeah, he still remains in P4 at the moment. As I said, penalties will change the results of many of these races, and it looks like Simon might lose out P4. But still, just under 15 laps to go of this race, obviously. So a lot of things can happen. I think Michael actually might try go again. It's much closer to the Mercedes of Presnay, but once again, DRS really keeping the Mercedes safe for the time being ahead of the Red Bull. And once again, it just shows, oh, Martin G's out of the session. What on earth has happened to the Racing Points? We'll stay on board. I was in the pits. He's got 0 laps in his mediums, which gives me the impression that he has retired in the pit lane. We'll have a look and see where Anka overtakes him. If he overtakes him on the start-finish straight with no Racing Point in sight, then we obviously know that he has retired in the pit lane. Yep. That must have been a pit lane retirement for the Racing Point of Martin G, which is very unfortunate. Oh no, Danny, that's another penalty! To add to his collection, a 5-second stop, well, yeah, 5-second penalty for speeding, now a 3-second for corner cutting, means he's now 8 seconds behind Hypers. That's got to be game over now, surely. Surely that's got to be game over. I can't see any way that you'll gain 8 seconds unless Hypers has an incident. Jens, you should, well, that should be game over, shouldn't it?
Yes, definitely. With 8 seconds and a field this close, 8 seconds is catastrophic for your race.
Yeah, what a shame as well for Danny, because that might lose him 4th. I mean, Simon has the penalty himself, but Simon might, if he's within 5 seconds of his from Danny, then possibly he could snatch a podium away from the Alfa Romeo, who's obviously got 2 wins on the trot. He's got that winning feeling, but not today, unfortunately. It's going to take a miracle. But because of the safety car later on, he could serve that 5-second penalty if he pits again, and we do have a safety car. But unlike in real F1, the safety car unfortunately does not exist here in the F1 games, unfortunately, as Anka has also retired from the session. That means everyone who is currently running will score points unless they retire. But yeah, another yellow flag out, presumably for Anker's retired car. But yeah, these two, Hagler and Le Mans, pretty much scrapping out for the bottom dollar list. As there goes Michael down the inside. He's finally seized his opportunity, seized his moment, and dived down the inside of the Mercedes of Presnyder. Philip really did not have a lot to contend with there. And the Red Bull makes his move up into 5th place. And Michael, I don't think, has any penalties. Let me check. He doesn't. Which means that he's already ahead of Simon. Theoretically, with a penalty situation. He could possibly, I mean, he's around 7 point... Well, he'll be ahead of Danny at this stage. Yeah, he's under 8 seconds behind Danny, so in theory he is on the podium. He won't know that, obviously, but he's doing a really good job. Obviously, penalties, if he does get a penalty, then that'll put to an end his podium charge, possibly. But yeah, really good move down the inside of the Mercedes. Unfortunately, Philip really couldn't do much to prevent that from happening. It was always going to be a dive down the inside of turn 1. It was just a matter of when. And Michael finally made his move. He does have to contend with defending now. But Photon's closer, to be honest. But he doesn't make a move down the inside. He backs out of it. But yeah, main aim for Michael now is just to close up to Simon. And whether he knows he's going to be ahead of him with the penalties come the checker flag, it might be unknown to him, but he'll try. If I was him, I would act like Simon doesn't have any penalties and just try and get him on track. But we'll have to wait and see if he does, because at the moment he's not catching up to him. If anything, he's just falling back into the Mercedes, and just like showing how difficult it is to pull away on this game. As he leads a 4-car train through this snaky middle sector. And Philip not giving up like he never does. That's what I love about his attitude. I love about many of these drivers' attitude. They never die, never say die attitude. That's what carries hypers as well. Unless, well, aside from last week's antiques, but yeah, that's what he's had a very tough start to his AOR career. Reflecting back on where he started, really, back in PCF4, back in season 14, really, back when he started. And he was known as kind of the crash kid, obviously being very inexperienced. We've seen a lot nowadays where F1 esports is putting a big influence on racing leagues. That's what I'm seeing. Many young kids signing up thinking they could be the next Brendan Lee, they could be the next former Danny, possibly. Hype has been different from the normal, though. He is, ever since he joined in season 14. Yes, back then, obviously, he had next to no experience, but he did have pace. And considering at the time, I'm pretty sure he was 12. 12? That's absurd. And just being the 4th quickest split on PC, that was immense. And he was in F3 in season 15. He won a few races back then. He was in F2 in season 16 at the ripe age of 13. This kid Tomek is incredible. And the fact that he's dealing with two much older, much more experienced, much veteran drivers of former Danny and Jarno Otmir, who arguably... Oh no, Flying Finn's left the session, that's very unfortunate. These two are arguably at their best, at their peak, possibly. Former Danny, obviously, on the back of winning 2 races in F1 esports, the best way of showing, their true potential. Hype obviously, unfortunately, cannot. I've reiterated this many times before. He cannot obviously participate. You have to be 6 in a row. Hype is only 14. 14. Danny, I'm pretty sure these two are in their 20s. I know Jarno. I think Jarno is actually only 18 or 19. Regardless, these guys are young, talented. Hypers is breaking the rules of young. He's 14 for goodness sake, and the fact that he's contending with these two drivers and still keeping them at bay is sensational. Yes, Hungary is one of the barriers. Yes, it's yes, it's very easy. Well, it's very difficult to overtake. Yes, he's got a lot. He's had a lot of experience. Doesn't matter. These two are so good, but the drivers behind him are so good that, you know, Danny, he's actually the closest he's ever been. And he could undo all the words I've just said in the past few minutes by just overtaking the Williams. But Hyper's placing his car perfectly. And, you know, there's only a certain place where Danny can overtake. It's going to take something. He's going to have to catch the Williams out off guard, but look how close he's getting. I think Danny's had enough. Oh, sitting in behind. Oh dear, Simon, that's another penalty. That's his podium challenge gone out the window, unfortunately. He's now 6 seconds behind his teammate. So that gap has been, I think Danny has really put the pressure on now. He's really turned the switch on. And he is lighting up his tyres in a bid to get past Hyper's. I think he knows it's breaking point now. If he doesn't get past the Williams now, there's no chance. There's no chance of him winning. The 8 seconds is just too big. And I'm just going to double check Hyper's warnings count. He's only has 1. He's still got a bit of a lifeline. If he gets a 3-second penalty, he'll still be 5 seconds ahead of Fumadani. But here comes Fumadani round the outside. He's a late break. Hypers defends down the inside, and Fumadani gets the power on down towards turn 2. Is there any way past? No. You have to be a brave man to try down the inside at turn 2 on Hypers, and there's no way past for the Alfa Romeo. Hypers is doing a magnificent job of keeping him at bay, and Jarno just watches right behind, ready to pounce at any given opportunities like he always is there for. But Danny, he needs to get a move on now. There's only a few more opportunities for him to really get past. When is it too late? Is it already too late, gents?
I think it is. With these drivers and with the pace they're showing, 8 seconds, I don't think you can do that in about 6 or 7 laps. That is way too much.
Yep, but Danny can give it a right old go in this battle. I think he's dropped a little bit back, and he's actually, he's actually going for it. Actually, I thought he was going on 0 ERS there, but no. I think he's a bit too far behind. Excuse me. On the Williams to try and mount an attack through turn 1. Nope. The Williams keeps him at bay. But yeah, just under 6 laps to go of this race, and well, I mean, at the front, it's not. Yes, nothing's really happened. As Flying Finn had an incident? Nope. Look at Hadler and Le Mans though. Those two are going hammer and tongue, wheel to wheel through turn 2. Hadler has to concede. He got a bit of a swapper on through turn 2 in the middle of it, and oh yeah, Flying Finn left the session, didn't he? So that is why he was behind them. Has managed to regain control just, unfortunately, just after he's been overtaken by these two. So that's a big shame for the Williams. So in theory, right now, it's the whole field is a multicolour filling inside of a Williams sandwich now. As Flying Finn, Hypers leads the field, and Flying Finn is at the rear of it. But I think things have stabilised a little bit. Simon is now outside of DRS range from Michael. But Michael started to gain a little bit. Photon has actually overtaken Presnader in the battle for 6th place. So whatever happened to Philip, obviously don't think those tyres are holding on. Obviously pitting a lap early compared to Photon might put him at a disadvantage, or should put him at a disadvantage. As there goes Le Mans and Hadler dueling it out. Albeit for 8th place, it's still for pride. As there goes Hadler round the outside. He'll have the inside line for turn 3. If you just hang on in there, And Le Mans with a great defence, keeping the Ferrari at bay. We don't often see Red Bulls and Ferraris going hammer and tongue, but we do in this league. As Le Mans unfortunately picks up a 3-second penalty, as does the Mercedes of Presneder ahead of him. But yeah, what a battle these two are having. And I'm well, glad they can get a bit of screen time, albeit it is for 8th position. Still good to see some nice racing going on, and importantly, it was clean. So yeah, back to the front. Lap 32 of 35. Hyper just weaving a little bit, trying to reduce the amount of slipstream benefit that the Alfa Romeo of Danny is getting. But that benefit is just lackluster, really. This isn't enough. These straight to Hungary just aren't long enough for the DRS power of the Alfa Romeo and the Renault, respectively, to do anything, really. Hyper's setup has just been magnificent. As Flying Finn has unfortunately retired from the session. That means we have 9 runners left. That will be any safety car or any VC or anything like that, because it is very late in this race. Although we did have a safety car with like 6 laps to go. I think it was something like that in the real life race, but obviously that was for very different circumstances. Flying Finn, I think, retired by himself in the pits, like they are advised to do. I think, well, most of the drivers, I think all of the drivers who have retired from this race have retired in the pit lane, so good on them. If they want to call it a day, they call it a day in the right manner. But yeah, the race is about to end, really. There's only 3 laps to go, and this track, the nature of it obviously hasn't provided for the best racing action. But I don't think Hype was to mind one single bit. He's headed the way since lap 1, really. Obviously, he did that period where he had to he pitted, and the top 3 were on the hards. But after that, he's been leading once again. Look how close Danny's getting. It's just not close enough, unfortunately. And the chances of him winning are fading away. But I think he's a. Let me check. He is. You know what? He's so close. Michael's only 8 seconds away from him. As Simon, another penalty. Wow. That's 9 seconds for the other Renault. Meanwhile, his teammate only has 1 3-second time penalty. Oh, Danny, that is wide. And that won't do any good to your tyres whatsoever. He's squirming a little bit, which surprises me considering he got the freshest compound out of the top 3. But yeah, still nothing noteworthy happening on track at the moment. There are battles everywhere we look, but the top 3 is where we'll probably end the race, although there is a battle for 8th and 9th. We'll have a look and see how that battle ends up. Penultimate lap then, and well, Hyper's it has been far from easy, this race. Yes, he hasn't had to. Well, he's only had a few laps where Danny's really been pushing to try and get this win, but the downfall of former Danny has been his penalty situation, and really, oh no, is that Danny's disconnected? Oh no, Danny is in theory, well, he's not out of the race, but that is absolutely devastating for the Alfa Romeo on the penultimate lap to disconnect from a 3rd position. It would have been no. That Michael will be on the podium. That is heartbreak. Absolute heartbreak for the Alfa Romeo. I don't think he'll be able to rejoin in time. If he does, it'll be a miracle. I don't think he'll be able to rejoin in time to recover the ground he's lost. That is criminal luck. Criminal luck. The penultimate. I can't remember what season it was, but Danny disconnected on the final few laps in Belgium. I think that costed him a podium again. It's deja vu for former Danny. It's not deja vu for Hypers, though. This is the first time he's ever been in this situation. Starting the final lap in the lead, and will win this race unless bad fortunes means he spins off at the final time of asking. He survives turn 4. He's had no penalties. He's had an absolutely flawless race, has the Williams. He comes through turn 6 and turn 7. He obviously, I said he joined AOR back in season 14 in January of 2018. Nearly 18 months down the line, or just over 18 months down the line, what a roller coaster of a ride it has been for this young and up-and-coming talent that Veloce have obviously seen the promise of, and I think the world has known, the world is about to know the potential of this young kid from Poland, 14 years of age, and now a race winner in AOR PCF1. Hypers takes the checkered flag and the win at the Hungarian Grand Prix. He leads home Jarno Otmir, who would have taken second place regardless of whether Danny finished the race or not. He takes home second place once again for the Renault and will extend his championship lead over former Danny. Michael will take the podium, I think. Not about results, but the main story of is Hyper's winning, but his Veloce teammates, former Danny, having cruel luck, disconnecting from the end and finishing in a low 5th place. What did you make of that race, Jens?
It was a great race to see the guys fighting at the top. Unfortunately, was a bit iffy with the penalties and made it a bit of a, maybe, I wouldn't say dull affair, but made it a bit too predictable of what was going to happen in the end, even with the fighting with Saw at the top.
Potentially, yep. Obviously, Hungary is known for being a procession a little bit. Monaco without the barriers has been given his name, truthfully, but we didn't see a dull. I think that was it was a tense race, and I think Hypers would have been so tense. Regardless whether he knew about the penalty situations or not, he finally wins. The monkey is off his back. What can he go on and do now? I mean, he's been close to winning before, but he's finally got the breakthrough. He finally wins, and what a race it is to win as well. The Hungarian Grand Prix, and what a race. Winning from Jarno in second, Michael in third, Photon in fourth. Not a bad result from the Hungarians. Obviously, former Danny won't be happy whatsoever with that disconnection. But the main thing is, I don't think he'll be happy whatsoever with that speeding in the pit lane. Because without that, he probably would have got a podium. Trace gets 6th place, and Simon 7th, Hadler 8th, Le Mans 9th, Flankfin 10th, although DNF'd, so it's I'm unsure whether he will get the points. Anka, Mochi, Matthias, and Steve were all victims of this this treacherous track where it does bite, and it obviously bit those 4 drivers. Well then, what a race that was. Hyper's victorious. Unfortunately, yes, there were a few issues that hopefully will be fixed next week regarding Jen's end, but hopefully we were able to broadcast to you a sufficient enough quality. Yes, it wasn't so frame rated, and the quality wasn't so good, but unfortunately there really is nothing we can do apart from maybe send out 10 invites to you, Jen, in the future, just in case, for backup. But yeah, that'll be it. And what a race we saw in real life, and to back it up with that, I think I'm going to need to lie down after the past 4 and a bit hours. But yeah.
You can, of course, go lie down now and take a break from all this crazy stuff that has been happening, and you at home can do the same, because we will be back next week for the Belgium Grand Prix, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the 13th round of this championship. Of course, I'll see you next time. next week, hopefully with all the issues fixed. And until then, have a good one. Goodbye.